Coming to you from a mannequin-filled restaurant, I'm RJ Balde, and this is the TRICHOMES Hashitout podcast. On this show, we feature conversations about trending cannabis topics. We also bring in industry insiders and influencers to discuss their point of view. In this episode, I'll be talking to Patrick King, aka the Soil King, about how he and his gardening company have been handling the coronavirus pandemic. We'll also talk about why he prefers sun-grown cannabis over indoor-grown, and much more. Without further ado, let's hash it out. Today, I am joined by Patrick, the Soil King, the owner of the Soil King Garden Center, which specializes in greenhouses, organics, and custom soil mixes. Patrick is also the head of Seed to Soul, a company that focuses on the original small farm growing practices that made sun-grown cannabis from the Emerald Triangle famous. Mr. the Soil King, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's awesome to be on your show. Thanks for the invite.
No problem. Now, we touched on this a little bit before we started rolling here, but how is your quarantine going? How are you handling it?
I mean, I've been through so much in my life. I'm an optimist. I find great things in every bad situation. So I hone, and that's my craft. And that's what I do. So I could tell you the doom and gloom, but I could shine a light on the glory as well. And that's what I like to focus on.
Absolutely. And I think that's more important, like now more than ever, to find those pockets of sunshine and to really put your focus more on those than the clouds that might be looming over, because that sunshine always does exist. Even though there are clouds, the sun is always above those clouds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. Even when it's raining, it's sunny out.
That's right. Yeah. You just gotta, it's raining now, but it's not going to be raining forever.
Yeah. And on top of the clouds, it's sunny.
Of course. Yeah, no doubt. If anything, I'm missing like flying in planes and traveling just so that I can get that reminder, because once you cross over those clouds, you're always like, yeah, dude, like there is something like above us all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Now, I understand that your venture into the gardening space came after running a housing development company for some time, but your roots, it has roots in your childhood. As you said, you always had a vegetable garden growing up, and when other kids would be playing with their toys, you would be planting and watering. So can you elaborate more on where that passion comes from?
Good stuff. I don't know where you got that information, but that's true. So you did some background history. That's awesome. Thank you.
For sure. No doubt. So yeah, can you elaborate more on that passion and where it came from and how it eventually led to you being the Soil King?
My first, I don't even time I remember, but my first photos as a child, it was in strawberry patches, and I'd crawl out to the flowers, and always wanted to be in the soil. Like I wanted to be in agriculture. And that's been the most consistent thing from, being 2 years old until 51, which I am now. That is the most consistent thing in my life. That's my serenity. That's my passion. That's my mother nature. And more than anything, that's my spirituality. Like I connect. It's all about connection. And that keeps me who I am as agriculture. When I was young, my dad would say, why do you want to go outside, play in the plants and grow? I had flowers when I was like 4 or 5 years old. That's what I did. I grew things. And my father would say, and he still teases me today, you should be out there playing basketball and doing everything else with all the other kids playing with Hot Wheels. But no, you're the kid that wants to play with flowers. What's wrong with you? And I was different like that, but it really was a good thing. It's been the best part of my life. So and cannabis started when I was really young as well. In fact, the first time I was ever in handcuffs was at the age of 11 years old for growing weed in a pine tree in my backyard. And second time I was in handcuffs was the next year. I was 12 years old, same pine tree. My neighbor called the police on me.
Wow.
Cannabis has been, first of all, I love agriculture, and I hate segregation, especially segregation within agriculture. So cannabis is agriculture. Strawberries, lettuce, everything is agriculture to me. So That's who I am. I'm an agriculture connoisseur, and I love all of it. So, that's where I'm at.
Now, how does one bridge that divide? Because there is still very much a stigma regarding cannabis, and a lot of people still don't see it as agriculture, as part of the agricultural cycle and atmosphere. So how can one like sort of bridge that gap?
I mean, first I have to say is I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for them.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
that's a weakening of their structure, and they could gain so much by opening their mind. And so I feel bad for that person that does that. Like I really do. Just to go back, one other thing I kind of left out growing up. I'm a fifth generation Johnny Appleseed, a grandfather of mine. So it's born and bled. This whole thing is like it's an ingrained pattern over generations in my life, which I finally got older and I realized where that is where it's came from, and that's important for me to understand why my passion is my passion, and I was born with this passion. It was a gift, and I get to freely give it on to my offsprings with my children, my 4 children as well. And so, yeah, to bring it up a little current, what you just said on bridging that gap, I bridged that gap. I had no problem. I lived through transparency at cannabis and other things in my life. I've been to prison. I've been to jails. I've done everything. This plant has freed me, I would say. I could say it's a doom and gloom again, but I'm an optimist. So it freed me with knowledge of who I am and never giving up on what my heart felt and my true direction. It means a lot to me to, once you believe in the process, to really not give a crap who else thinks of you or what they think of you. It's about how I feel and what I feel about myself and the direction, and not giving up. The biggest part of life is when people tell you you can't, you're not good enough, you've been to jail, you're cannabis, you're a bad person, But that is I never listened to that white noise. I've listened to my soul tell me that keep doing what you're doing. You'll make a change someday. You'll make it different. You'll be a part of something great. Your grandfather is a piece of sand in the sea of greatness. His legacy is touching the hearts of children around the world, being Johnny Appleseed in a children's book. There's no greater monetary contribution than that. If my grandfather gave up on himself, he would have never left the most valuable gift to the world, and that's touching the hearts of young children.
So your roots really do run generations deep. Now, where did the nickname the Soil King start?
Yeah, it had to have been around 2006.
Okay.
Where I've done a lot of things in my life. Like you said, a builder developer. I've done that. In the meantime, when I was building, developing, and doing a lot of other things, I was a craft cannabis connoisseur, and that's what I did on the side. Not every year, but a lot of years. And I did huge amounts of cultivations, like mass 700,000 plants at a time. Crazy stuff, right? But I did it because I loved to do it, not because I needed to do it. It's that I felt like it was my job to hone this craft, which we can go deeper into that, but we don't have a whole lot of time. That's my passion with showing the world that organic cultivation can outperform any bottle nutrient, salty chemical farming, hands down. And the world didn't know that until guys like me and a few of us really put the proof in the pot. We've done that. But yeah, so I made soils for myself for years, and that's what I did. I made organic blends. Everybody was adding this garbage, Simplot 50-00, 50, 10-30-30, all this crazy products that killed our planet and raped and pillaged from Mother Earth. So I decided I'm just going to start testing and making products myself. And people were coming down going, oh my God, look at the size of them plants. That's where the coin word redwood trees with pineapples was coined at the same time. And the people were saying, oh my God, those look like redwood trees with pineapples. Bam. That was a trademark I've owned for many years now. Right. But the same thing with the Soil King. They said, why don't you produce soil on a commercial scale or a larger scale for some of us? And so I started helping some buddies out and doing some things. And then I realized that it was a mission. My mission statement is changing the world one plant at a time. And I knew that I was onto something great and that I could do something that made a change and be part of something in a team of entrepreneurs around the world that had the same vision as me. And someone came out and said, "Man, you're Patrick King's the soil king," and all of a sudden that stuck, and it was branded. I was branded that name, and I ran with it. I loved it, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to take it and run with it. I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I understand one of your top products is both pesticide and GMO free, and won the title of Soil of the Year in 2015 at the Emerald Cup. Can you tell me more about that?
That's Big Root Soil. So we Big Root Soil. I had some other mixes. They were called back in 2010, 2009, going into 2011, and it was called Marley Mix, and then I made one called Marley Moonshine and Marley Shroom Bloom, and they were great. They were a great brand. But at that time, I was using green waste, and from municipality green waste. And if anybody follows me, you know that I'm so anti green waste compost. In fact, I call it compost, CONPOST, because we're selling toxins and pesticides, herbicides, and blending them and in these municipality facilities with these huge windrows of nothing but waste. And that is riddled with so many contaminants. It's bad for our health. It's bad for our cannabis. It's bad for everything. And back then, I was testing back then. So I was the only one out there really testing for things like heavy metals, things like, glyphosates and different things. And because they were important to me back then. And I was learning a lot back then. So I scrapped all those brands that I had, Marley Mix, and I said, everybody told me I was crazy. I said, I got to start over with something bigger and better, something that I can get behind and I'll feel comfortable growing in. And I got rid of the compost and started Big Roots. And Big Roots just took off. It was on fire. For years prior to the 2015, Tim Blake, all of Northern California, Emerald Triangle, big players, all were using my soils. They still do today. And yeah, so running up to the Emerald Cup 2015, there was a gentleman named John Green that was running the Emerald Cup, and Tim Blake, and those guys said, "Man, we cannot use anything other than your soil, and we're going to give you the title. You got it. You're Soil King. Now you're Emerald King of Soil." So,
it's official.
Yeah, it's official.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, your garden center is located in Sonoma County. Is that right?
Cloverdale, Sonoma County. It's on the border, right on the border of Mendocino and Sonoma County.
Gotcha.
Highway 101. I'm at the entry of the Emerald Triangle. That's where I say you got to come through my empire to get to the Emerald Triangle.
You got to cross through the gates first. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. And then I also have a manufacturing yard in Sacramento. I just opened up a distribution hub in Oklahoma, and I just opened up one in Colorado as well.
Oh, nice. Now, how have all of those brick and mortar locations been dealing with the coronavirus? Have you been subject to any closures?
I mean, I was told by my city that I needed to close down when it first happened. I don't know if I could swear on this program or not.
Go for it. Let it fly.
Okay. So I told them to kiss my fucking ass. That I'm going to educate Victory Gardens, and people are going to take care of their own needs, and we're going to stop relying on government for everything. And we're going to start. I'm an optimist. This is an opportunity for the world to really realize the value in taking your family in your backyard and planting some agriculture and lettuce, harvesting and bringing that in and feeding your family on the table of stuff that you cultivated in your backyard. It's the most important lost art of our history of the world at this point. And this is a great opportunity for us to give back and educate on how to do it. And so, yes, I did not shut down. I'm responsible with my practices, with face masks, with everything. But they weren't
Mhm.
going to tell me that I was going to shut down. I wasn't going to take that, and they realized that. So they went and tried to shut down one of my competitors, like about 2 miles away. I went to the police department, to the city, and to the city council, and I demanded them to reopen them, and they did, because it's about community and the people that live amongst us in our community that need us. And if we don't stand up and fight for things that are right, then we fall for everything that is bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't affect me. In fact, it helped. It helped me.
Sure. Yeah, I think there is value in that you found this as an opportunity to highlight what you say is this lost art and this sort of opportunity for family members to use the land that we're all staying home anyway, so you might as well use the land that you're on.
Most people don't know how to cultivate. They don't know exactly how to grow a tomato, potatoes, uh,
Right.
companion planting, um, flowers that bring in bees for pollinating. All that stuff is very. It's we have to educate that, because we've got so relying on going to the grocery store for everything we need. It's a lost art. That's why I say it's a lost art. So I've been doing on all my, if you can Google the Soil King, or Facebook, the Soil King, or Instagram, you can see all these cultivating with the king, 101, all this farming tech, just the basic. It's just basic stuff on agriculture, cultivating in victory gardens in your backyard. Things that people really just don't know yet, and they want to. What's a
Yeah.
perennial versus an annual? Who knows that?
Mhm.
Most people don't know that. I know that because this is in my blood my entire life, but most people don't. But that's valued information. Like, you need to know
Sure.
that.
Now, speaking of, for those again who may not be familiar with the terms, like you said, annual, perennial, and things like that, you
Yep.
mentioned earlier, you mentioned green waste. For those who aren't familiar, can you just describe what green waste is really quick?
So there's a municipality green waste. So there's a lot of different types of green waste and composting. But if you are in California or wherever you're at, and you have in California, we have three garbage cans. We have a green one, and a brown one, and a blue one.
Mhm.
But there's the ones that are going for recycle, or the brown ones or the green ones, I think, is what you put all your waste trimmings in, that kind of stuff. And then the truck comes by, picks them up, and takes them to the dumps. So it's partly a separator it's supposed to be a separator. In theory, it's a great theory,
Mhm.
but recycling doesn't start with them taking our garbage and separating it. It has to start at home with us, and we do a very poor job. And I'm the first one to raise my hand and say I don't do it to the best of my ability.
Mhm.
So I'm responsible. But green waste. So when you have these garbage dumps, these guys have plastic. There's papers. There's cardboards. There's pharmaceuticals. There's plastics. There's so many contaminated toxins.
Mhm.
Just the toxins from the ink on all the imagine going, you call your Amazon, and you get all this Amazon cardboard that comes in, and you open it up, a huge box, and you got these little colored boxes, blue and yellow, and you got all this paper with all this ink. All that ink is heavy toxins with heavy metals.
Mhm.
All that saturates into that soil, and then all the other contaminants and products, that end up oil. A lot of oil from people just throwing their oil in those beds
Mm.
goes. And so they take these huge, big garbage mountains, and they compost them, and then they take that material and they sell it back to the compost manufacturing yards, and then they mix it with some wood chips, add some guano in it, and they call it a 420 blend, and they would make 100% margins, and they sell it to take 40 yards or 20 yards to you, or 5 yards to your backyard, and you are now taking glyphosates, because you have so many glyphosates from golf courses, because all the leftovers from golf courses, Caltrans along the side of the road, all that stuff gets in there. All those chemicals, all those weed abatement controls, they all get in that. And now you're taking that stuff to your backyard, or your beautiful acre, or your mountain site, or wherever you're at, and you're contaminating pristine property. And we don't even know that's happening. And as a consumer, what a consumer always looks for is, what's the cheapest compost I can buy? And I can't say that is the worst thing you can ever think, because the cheapest compost means they've used the worst contaminated products to make it. So you really have to think outside the box and try to get creative. With us, we compost. I compost with a organic tomato farm, and we take all the remains after the season and we compost that all up. I do some other mix and flips with it, and that's certified. Like I test everything, and it's ready to go. I know it's clean, and that's what I use, because I can't buy it from the municipalities. My compost, or the Fox Farms, Ocean Forest, Roots Organic, all those guys use this stuff as their mix, in their mix. So I feel like I'm a different cat, and I'm trying to educate a better process. And my job right now as a soil provider is to find the access points of manures that aren't. Just think of this: people are saying, "Yeah, I got a horse. Take all my horse manure." But you give your horse, that person you're getting the horse manure from, they take a pill for deworming pill, right? Mm-hmm. Every 6 months or every 90 days or whatever it is. That deworming pill, it kills biology. So, and 90% of it comes out in their poop. So all those toxins go into that horse crap, and you take that horse crap and you're taking it to go blend it in a soil or take it to your yard. You just killed all the biology that'll ever be in that mix, And so we need to educate. Nobody wants to talk about this, because everybody would rather take the dollar than put the education out there. It's hard work to find clean compost.
Yeah.
I can't barely find it in Oregon, let alone I can't find it in California. I have to make it myself.
Wow.
Yeah, for green waste, contaminated green waste. Like, that's the first thing you want to know. Is where's the compost source? Where's the ingredients come from? Why is it so cheap? Don't buy cheap.
Yeah, so focusing more on quality rather than quantity might actually help you in the long run.
I mean, totally, because you want to build a vegetable garden or cannabis plants. You want to build this soil year after year after year. You want it to get better. You want to get the biology living in there, and it keeps producing a better atmosphere. Year after year after year, it gets better. But when you have all those harmful toxins, you'll never get better. It will never get better.
Yeah.
You'll just be replacing it every year and spending more money instead of spending more money the first time out the gate.
Now, speaking more on how you seek to educate more about this topic and about agriculture in general, and shifting that to your cannabis company, Seed to Soul, with a number 2. I understand that in addition to creating high quality cannabis products, you also collaborate with local farms to encourage natural planting tendencies through regenerative growing. Can you tell me more about that?
Totally. Like, that's what it's all about. And the Soil King touches every part of the cannabis industry, from the picks and shovels to I'm a breeder, been a breeder for many, many, many years, to on the cannabis side, I own every license that there is, from cultivation, distribution, manufacturing, nursery, all of it down non-storefront retail in California. I own every license. So and that's Seed to Soul with an S. And so the Seed to Soul was coined after I sat and I said, I love farm to table, but I need to get it another level up. So it's farm to table, Seed to Soul. That was how it was coined. And so on the cannabis side, I sell the soil, I sell the genetics, right? I give free consultation and consulting to cultivators. And then I do crop purchase. I take it through my facility. I take it out through my distribution. I'm statewide. I have sales all the way through SoCal and all the way up to NorCal. Mm-hmm. And we do. I'm a solventless savage. I don't believe in a lot of solvent extracts. I'm a solventless guy. I like ice water hash. I love the whole plant being extracted at the same time. I love that whole process. So I do that. I have a pre-roll company, and we service the biggest brands also in manufacturing and through distribution in California. Skittles, Fields, Turp Hogs. There's a whole bunch of them that are out there that we help, and we're all together.
Yeah.
We all support each other. It's not one of us, all of us. They help me, I help them.
It's all about that community.
Yep. It's about the community. Exactly.
One of Seed to Soul's core values is plant welfare, which is described as allowing plants to exhibit natural features as nature intended. You have also been a firm advocate for sun-grown, small-farmed cannabis, even as indoor growing has become more popular. So why is it important to promote plant welfare, and why do you believe sun-grown cannabis is the way to go?
I mean, that's the way Mother Nature intended us to do. You know,
Totally.
since the 40s and 50s, we have depleted our earth. We have destroyed everything we possibly could do. I mean, we have raped and pillaged the skin off the earth. And regenerative farming is the key. So making compost and making your own products is absolutely the best way to possibly do anything. And sun grown, I mean, the earth kisses you. I mean, the sun kisses you. I mean, you got ultraviolet lighting is something massive. On the license in our manufacturing and our ice water hash, we can't produce the quality of hash with indoor product as we can with outdoor product. The amount of trichomes, resins, everything that's on that plant is so much better with growing under natural conditions. So much better under natural conditions. I'm not saying indoor doesn't have a spot. Sure, it has a spot, but sun grown is, that's the way it was intended to be. It is the top shelf. It'll always produce better in a lot of different whole plant extraction processes than indoor will ever do it.
Yeah, I agree. I will always go with some sun-grown cannabis over some indoor-grown any day. It feels more natural to me from my experience. It tastes better. I like, the product a lot more usually when it's naturally or sun-grown. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that movement. And I think, just like you believe it's important to keep that connection with the earth. And, this is a plant. So to take away from its natural sort of growth process is, I think it can be selfish to do sometimes because, nature gives all of the nutrients, all of the light that we need. So it's best to utilize those tools.
Like you and the plant are identical.
Right.
We need biology. We need the probiotics. We need the living soil that feeds our soul.
Exactly.
At the same time, if you go stand in your house and you never go outside, what is your body going to feel like? How is it going to react to reality? I mean, or when you go outside and you're enjoying the sun and you're hanging out outside, how does that make your body feel? That's the same way it makes your plant feel, right? It's the exact same. And there's a lot of bad outdoor growers, but you got to find a good outdoor grower that really knows what he's doing organically. And let me tell you, you roll a joint up and when you're smoking outdoor weed, especially, and I love joints, so especially in a joint form, those terpenes mess you up differently. Here's a prime example. So I took a 90% distillate, pure distillate almost. It was like 95%, 98% distillate. And I had a guy dab it. I said, then I had pure terpenes next to it, right? And I said, which one of these is going to mess you up more? We did a whole thing. We had like a bunch of people around at the table at Seed to Soul. And they're like, dude, I don't know if I can dab straight distillate. And I'm like, and he's like, it'll mess me up, but I'll dab the terpenes, right? And I'm like, okay, well, so I had him dab the terpenes, and he got 10 minutes. He was messed up, wiped out, right? And then we went back and dabbed because the terpenes come and go. They release you. You feel that momentarily, and then it goes away. And the distillate and the THC will carry the load, is what it does. So when he dabbed that 95% distillate, he was like, oh, God, that's, man, I don't feel anything like that. And that's what I'm saying. When the sun kisses something and it's outside and you roll that up into a doobie and you're smoking that joint, that the terpenes are burning at a whole different level they ignite and they change and they conform at heat. So and different heat, right? So when you have a cherry at the end of it that's smoking, you're pulling in that heat. The heat changes and lowers itself as it goes down the joint before it goes into your lungs. And you're melting those terpenes at all different levels of temperature. And that's why you feel so you're like, holy crap, right?
Yeah.
So when you get a right cultivar and you're a right grower, or you're growing it yourself and you hit that premium, it's like that feeling. It's that feeling.
Totally. I love that. Now, my last question for you here. You are known as an SCOG, or otherwise known as a Sonoma County original grower. So you've obviously been in the game, like you said, since you were 2 years old. You've seen the landscape change over the years. How can everyone do their part in any way, big or small, to, as you say, change the world one plant at a time?
I mean, Sonoma County original growers was, there's people that have been growing in Sonoma County a lot longer than I have, but we're a tight knit of cultivators that know what's up. Like we are the OGs of the industry, and there's a lot of OGs. Just the OG status, not just Sonoma County, right? There's Mendocino County, there's HC, Humboldt County, there's counties, that you could fit right in there. But so that's kind of where Sonoma County OG, SCOG got coined at. You ever heard of the term "a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step"?
Absolutely, sure.
Take that fucking single step. That's all you got to do.
No doubt.
Don't worry about the next one. Don't worry about the one after that. Don't worry about the journey of 1,000 miles. Just make a change in your cultivation style today and add value to the earth instead of taking away from it. And if you do that every day, you are changing the world one plant at a time.
I love that, man. Right on. Now, before we go here, where can people find the work that you're doing through the Soil King enterprise, Seed to Soul, and all that?
So, I mean, you just follow me on this. You can Google the Soil King. You can YouTube the Soil King, Facebook the Soil King. My website, if you want to see all the Soil King approved products, is thesoilking.com. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's how we do it.
Right on, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's it, my man. Yeah.
Cool. Patrick, the Soil King, thank you so much again for coming on the show. I really enjoyed it. And good luck with everything up in NorCal, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Totally. Gratitude.
My thanks again to Patrick, the Soil King, for joining me. If you are a member of the cannabis community and have a story you want to share with us, we would love to hear from you. You can reach the show at hashitout@trichomes.com. You can help others find the show by taking a moment to subscribe to the podcast and write a review. You can also join the discussion with industry insiders and get your voice heard by joining the community at trichomes.com and following us on all social media. Hash It Out is produced by David Fortin and presented by trichomes.com. I'm RJ Balde. Thanks for listening.